All right, so again, we're just finishing 7.3 today. We're gonna start doing this thing called Cramer's rule. So Cramer's rule is just like another method on how we solve these systems of equations. So methods that we learned and that were just on our quiz are like substitution, elimination, things that we haven't gotten quizzed on, but we do know how to use is the inverse method. And then we also did this Gauss-Jordan reduction, which I also called REF, which is row echelon form, and REF, which is reduced row echelon form. So we're just learning a bunch of different methods on how to solve this, and you need to be able to like adjust based on what I ask of you. So what I could ask for you on the next quiz is how do we do this Cramer's rule by hand, okay? So that's kind of the little background on why we're doing this. It's just another method on how we solve. If I don't specify, I personally would probably not do Cramer's rule. If it's not specified, if I say solve however you want, I would probably do RREF. But this is something that I could quiz, test, etc. ask you about. So in Cramer's rule, one thing I want to write off to the side really quick is x equals and y equals. So in order to find x and y, we need to do three things. X is going to be dx divided by d. And then y is going to be dy divided by d. So this is kind of a key thing that we're going to come back to in a minute once I tell you what d, dx, and dy are. So x is dx divided by d, y is dy divided by d. Okay. Those are all determinants. So d is a determinant between two columns, essentially. D of x is a determinant between two columns. And then dy is also a determinant based on two columns. And the columns come from the problem. Okay. We're going to label the problem to start with. So normally from here, I would take like an A matrix and a B matrix, and we do like the coefficient on the left side, BA, and then the solutions on the right side, BB. Now we're going to label these columns A, B, and C. So I'm going to start with the X's. So my X column is going to be my A column, which means that Y is going to be my B column. And then last but not least, my last column, my C, is going to be this solutions column of numbers. Remember, columns go up and down, so that's why I keep calling these columns. A, B, and C are going to be combined, two of them at a time, to make these other small 2x2 matrices. I have to do them 2x2 because I told you we're doing it by hand, and that's all we know how to do a 2x2 by hand. So the first one, D, is going to be the determinant of A and B. So it's going to be a matrix that's made up of the first two columns, A column and B column, okay? Let's kind of pause and let's do that first. So I'm going to think about D is going to be taking my A column, which was 3 and 2. And my B column, which was -7, 1, and then we are going to do the determinant of that. If you remember, determinant is A times D, so 3 times 1 minus B times C, -7 times 2. 3 times 1 is 3, minus a negative becomes a plus. So 7 times 2 is going to be 14. And so my D is going to be 3 plus 14, which is 17. Bless you. And I'm actually going to go write that up here where D is. D is 17. All right, everyone good with that so far? All right, my next one is DX. So we're actually not going to use the column that goes with my X's. So I'm not going to use A. I'm going to replace A. I'm going to replace A with C. So I'm going to put C first, and then B stays second. Think about A and B always stay in their spot. So if A is always going to go first if it's in there. B is always going to go second if it's in there. C is the one that kind of moves around based on what we've got. Okay, so let's go do that. Let's go do dx, which is the determinant of C and B. C is 9 and -6. And B is -7, 1. DET is going to be 9 times 1 minus -7 times -6. 9. These two negatives do go together, but then I've got another negative with the 6, so it's going to be -42. So 9 minus 42, I believe, is -33. Are you guys okay with that so far? All right, last one we're gonna do is d of y, dy. So I don't want to include the y's, so I'm not including b. I am gonna have a go first, because if a is there, it's always first. And then c is going to replace b, so c is gonna go second. So now I'm gonna do the determinant of the columns a and c. Is everybody okay with that so far? 3, 2, 9, -6. I'm gonna do the determinant of 3 times -6 minus 9 times 2. That's -18 minus 18, which is -36. Okay, everybody good so far? All right, now we're not done though. We're almost done. The last part's the easiest part. Now we have to take the fact that my x is dx over d, and then y is dy divided by d. So we're gonna go put those numbers together in order to get x and y. So for x is gonna equal -33 over 17. If you cannot simplify it, leave it like that. If you can make it a whole number, you can make it a smaller fraction, do that. If not, please don't make it a decimal. I think it's just much easier to just leave it as the fraction. So my x is -33 over 17, and then my y is going to be dy, which is -36 over d, which is 17. So there's my y, there's my x. And we're done. So all we did was just 3 small determinants, but it's important to know how we got them and what goes with what. Do you think you can try the next one without me? Okay, start the next one without me. All right, I'm gonna start doing my work off to the side. got my D on the board. I'm working on DX. Sorry, I'm kind of like all over the place on my little highlighting and writing. I'm trying to keep it nice and organized, and I just am being a little flighty. So on that, I made a mistake. There we go. That's better. All right, I've got my D, I've got my DX, I've got my DY on the board. Once you have those, go ahead and find your X and Y, where you have to do DX divided by D and then DY divided by D. I got X equals 9 and Y equals negative 26. Does that look good to you guys? I know this is kind of a weird method, but it's mathematically not hard. I just think remembering how to do it is like the hard part. It's like, oh, we gotta do this determinant and then that, and then divide them out. So I would expect to see this on the next quiz or test. Okay, we're gonna go jump to the very last problem on this packet. So we've done everything. We just have letter D that we need to do. It's still Gauss-Jordan reduction. It's still RREF. So I want you to start by doing an augmented matrix, and then I want you to do RREF of that in the calculator. So if you remember, an augmented matrix looks something like this. Actually, I'll go up to this one right here. I've got my X's are my first category, my first column, I guess. My Y's are my second. Z's are third. And then last is my solutions. And then we just test RREF of this matrix, and then we went. So go ahead and take a minute, write down the new matrix, write down your augmented, plug it in the calculator, see what answer you get. And we're doing letter D. Letter D. Jump to it in 1 second. I just want you to see this example. have mine already written in because I did it last period, but make sure that you have your matrix set as a 4x5, make sure that you plug everything in correctly. Again, like I said earlier this week, I like to double, triple, quadruple check. Bless you, double check a million times so that you know that you have the right numbers, because if you have a negative wrong, or if something could carry over to the next box, it could screw up everything, and it's hard when we have like no work really to show here. Once you have it entered in, go press second matrix, go to math, and we're gonna do RREF of matrix A. Once I do that, I got a lot of decimals, so I want to make it fractions so it makes a little bit more sense to me. So I'm just gonna go normal math. I don't know why I pressed something funny. Normal math fraction, enter, enter, and it gives me this. I'll write it down.
Which one do we do on the map again? Susan, which one do we do when we push the map again?
Letter B,
Okay.
which is RREF. It's the most reduced form. Now, do you guys notice anything funny about this, or anything you don't like, or what's my answer gonna be? Aiden, what are you thinking? All reals, why? What's the key? All the zeros on the bottom is an issue. I think we talked about it yesterday, but I'll just kind of re-say it in case we didn't. That's basically saying 0A plus 0B plus 0C plus 0D equals 0. Then all of these zeros together make just 0. 0 equals 0 is a true statement. It doesn't tell me what any of my variables are, and it doesn't tell me what to plug into D in order to find C. So when you get this, the answer is just going to be all reals. You can do your fancy R, you can say IMS and had infinitely many solutions, whatever makes you happy, but it's okay. It's just like, it's okay to get this answer, but know that you can't figure out what A, B, C, D are. We just say all reals. Okay. Okay, that is all we're gonna do for right now. When I see you next class, you do have your 7.3 homework due. Okay, you will have your 7.3 homework due next class. Let's turn this off.